Here's the thing, this is not just for me. As I've shared this journey throughout the year on Facebook and Instagram, so many have told me they have been inspired to pursue the dreams that God has put on their hearts. And I know that's part of God's plan in all of this. So I have this burden to spur others on to the good works that God has planned for you to do. My birthday is this week, December 14th. And because my birthday is near the end of the year, it's always a time to reflect on what God has done during the year and seek Him about the coming year. This birthday feels so much like a milestone to me, even more than 2 years ago when I turned 50. So yeah, I am 52 this week. Somebody is saying, I can't believe she just told everybody how old she is. But you know what? That has never been a thing for me. I don't care who knows how old I am. But even more so now, I'm seeing the purpose in it, in sharing how old I am. I believe God is using my age as an encouragement to others to say if He can do what He's doing in my life at my age, you best believe He can do what He wants to do in yours. But I'll get to that. So yes, I am 52 this week. And it's such a milestone to me because I am amazed that God is still recreating me in terms of what I do, what I put my hand to, that thing people say you're supposed to have locked down by age 20. So in college, at the age of 20, I decided to go to law school. And in my 20s, I was practicing law. When somebody said, what do you do? I'm an attorney. I thought that would be my answer for decades to come. But I also didn't know the Lord until the age of 27. So not too surprised that He took my life and kind of flipped it. In my 30s, I became a stay-at-home mom, homeschooler, minivan driving soccer mom, which was actually volleyball mom, and spent much of my day right here at this kitchen table. Never thought I would ever be home full-time. Never thought I would homeschool. And day after day, looking at piles of books and lesson plans and what my kids needed to learn, or else I would be solely responsible for ruining them. It was all consuming. I said, okay, this is my life. This is my ministry, home, and it is a full-time ministry. When somebody said, what do you do? I would say, well, at first I would say, I'm an attorney, but I'm not practicing right now. And God told me to cut that out. So I'd say, I'm a stay-at-home mom. And if they kept pressing, and a homeschooler. Not because I felt a way about homeschooling, I just didn't feel like answering 50 questions. So they let you do that? So that's what God did. He took a career-focused, suit-wearing, litigating attorney and recreated me into a home-based individual who sometimes couldn't get a shower until early afternoon. Then He did a new thing. In my 40s, I became a novelist. Never dreamed of writing novels. I knew God had given me a burden to teach His word. Never thought I could do that through fiction. God put a story in my head and I didn't know any authors, didn't know anyone who wanted to be an author, didn't have a writer's group. And this was before everything was on the internet, so I couldn't even Google stuff. It was just me and the Lord. He taught me how to write fiction. He recreated me into a storyteller. I was 41 when my first novel was published. Still homeschooling, so I mostly wrote early in the morning. Got signed to Thomas Nelson, the largest Christian publisher in the world, and I knew it was God. It didn't make sense. After I got signed, I went to my first Christian Writers Conference and found out how hard it was to get signed. And I said, how did I get here? So in my 40s, if someone said, what do you do? I write novels. And I also homeschool. Same kitchen table. I just added my laptop and more books. In my 40s was also when I joined a new church launch, and I helped to start the women's ministry, and I led weekly Bible studies there. It's also when I started a YouTube channel. So the Lord planted me in fiction and Bible teaching in my 40s, with the home ministry still the main focus. Then I turned 50. At the age of 50, our youngest graduated from our homeschool. Y'all, I felt like I had graduated too. I said, finally, I can write full time. Got me a new table, moved away from the kitchen table. I said I can put energy and focus into cranking out these novels. I had started the Promises of God series, and I was in a zone, releasing them about every 6 months. This time last year, on my birthday, my biggest dream was to spend 2018 writing the next novel in the series. If I was doing really well, I could crank out 2. I even turned down several speaking requests for 2018. I said I don't want to speak. I just want to stay in my writing cave and crank out the fiction. I also had a YouTube series going in 2 Samuel at the time. If someone said, what do? Author, Bible teacher. Just let me hang with my laptop and my camera so I can upload video. God didn't waste any time turning my plans for 2018 upside down. January 2018, after much prodding, I had to acknowledge that God was moving me to have a conference. So I started planning my first conference, a clean conference, for June. April 2018. God unmistakably let me know that a web series idea he had given me the year before, which I was about to think would never be a thing, would be filmed around the conference, which meant God was unmistakably letting me know that I would be in the series, acting. That was about the time God had to do a Be Fearless work in me. That's why you see those videos on the channel. From April to June, wrote my first script, and God showed up just like he does with the novels. He downloaded the story. June and July 2018, I saw the script come to life as we filmed it. Also, summer 2018, I started writing song lyrics for the Cling series soundtrack. I had never dreamed of acting or writing a script, but writing lyrics? That's what I did as a teen, my secret dream. I loved music growing up, loved everything about music, vocals, instrumentation, production, but would have never pursued it. Education, professional career, that was the track in my family. But God brought it back around through the web series he had put on my heart. I was in awe as he gave me melodies and lyrics all around this theme, this word that has been on my heart for years, cling. I said, Lord, are you serious? I get to put this to music? It blew my mind. But it wasn't just songwriting. 2 weeks ago, I found myself in a studio recording words I had written and singing, actually singing the background vocals and harmonies. Singing was the secret dream. Like every day in my bedroom trying to mimic Shaka and Tina Marie and my girl Angela Winbush. Some of y'all like, who? And I was always too nervous to really sing in front of people because that was the secret dream. If somebody heard me and was like, ooh girl, the dream would have been gone. So I sang in the choir and stuff like that, but mostly I sang when nobody was around until 2 weeks ago. I have to tell you what happened. So Spec, who is my co-star in the Cling series, he's also a music producer. He's doing the soundtrack. And he told me to try my hand at writing lyrics, which was weird because he didn't even know that had been a dream of mine. Only God. So I wrote some lyrics, and in order for him to hear the lyrics and the melody, I had to sing them. So of course I was nervous, but he ended up encouraging me with the songwriting. He told me to write some more. And about a month later, he said, I have this idea for the soundtrack. And he said, you're gonna sing on the soundtrack. And I said, who gonna sing on the soundtrack? He said, you can sing. I was like, again, he had no idea this had been a dream of mine. The secret dream. But God knew. He brought this back around decades later. And I can't even describe standing at the mic, singing hearing it played back, so super surreal. The song that's been playing in the background is one of the ones I recorded. I cannot wait for y'all to hear these songs, but I am super nervous for y'all to hear these songs. I still have not finished the novel that I was sure I'd be finished with by summer. Why? Because God has been recreating me. Now, if someone said, "What do you do?" I wouldn't even know how to answer. This year, God shaped me into a conference host, creator, writer, and executive producer of a web series, which I'm also starring in, songwriter, executive producer of a soundtrack, and a recording artist. All these new things at 51 going on 52. But here's the thing, this is not just for me. As I shared this journey throughout the year on Facebook and Instagram, so many have told me they have been inspired to pursue the dreams that God has put on their hearts. And I know that's part of God's plan in all of this. I am 52. James 4:14 says our lives are a vapor. And trust me, I can see that clearly. So I have this burden to spur others on to the good works that God has planned for you to do. I was moved to write a post as I was recording part of the soundtrack a couple weeks ago. So if you follow me, you may have seen it, but it's okay. You need to hear it again. So this is what I'm saying to you all who are my Jesus-loving sisters in your 20s and 30s. I hear from many of you who feel a call from God. You have this stirring in your spirit to do things in His name, for His glory. And it causes you to say, "But I can't. But how? But I don't have. But it's too." Please hear me when I say that if I, someone who is old enough to be your mom or big sis or auntie, can step out and do what I'm doing by the grace of God, you better do each and everything that God puts on your heart to do. Yes, you may have to wait on God's timing. I just told you about all the seasons I've lived through, which involved a lot of waiting. And part of the call from God is taking the time to grow in Him and grow in your knowledge of His Word. But do not waste years on doubt and fear. So when it is time to move, you'll be so steeped in who God is, so fully persuaded that it's all about Him and not you, you'll be ready to move in faith. The only but that should come out of your mouth is "but God." And to all of you who are my Jesus-loving sisters in your 40s and up, I know there are many of you, and I've heard from many of you who feel a call, a stirring in your spirit from God to do things in His name, which causes you to say the same buts that I named before, plus, "But I'm too old, but my season has passed, but it's too late." How do I know? Because I said the same buts. God was not moved. He wanted to know if I had ever read about Sarah or Elizabeth. Look them up in the Bible if you don't know their stories. He wanted to know if I really believed that nothing was too hard for Him. He wanted to know where I got the notion that age had anything to do with what He wanted to do through me. The crazier it seems for you to do what God is calling you to do, the more of an amazing "but God" it will be. Let Him get all the glory. I shared the seasons of my life so you could see that God is always working, always molding and shaping us. We can't put limits on God. We don't need to put ourselves in a box. It is scary to get out of the box. Not easy to let God take you in a different direction, one that requires faith. But when you are clinging to Him, you can't help but go. You have to go. You are with Him. And when the doubts and the fears come, give them to the Lord. Let Him deal with them. 2 Corinthians 12:9 says His grace is sufficient, for power is perfected in weakness. When we are weak, filled with doubt and fear and whatever else, in Him we are strong, but we have to cling. Seek God for clarity for the dreams you believe He has put on your heart. And when you know that you know it's God, you pursue that. Build your faith and your love of God through His Word. Let your heart's desire be to glorify Him. Believe that nothing is too hard for Him. Let Him recreate you as He sees fit. from season to season. Let your life be a neon but God sign for His glory. I'm about to celebrate this birthday. I will see y'all next time. Subscribe, hit the notification bell so you can be notified when I upload a new video. Keep clinging. I'm really wondering what's gonna happen in 2019. I'm thinking really restful and quiet. I'll finally get to focus on fiction. Never let